Keller, and here's what's coming up tonight on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, as presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. We head to the cross-country course with Nathan Stoa from Hawley, and we'll check in on the Ada-Borup-West cross-country teams as well, followed by a sit-down interview with Harvey McMahon with the West Fargo Horace Hawks, as they're coming off back-to-back wins in the second year of their varsity football program. Also joining us will be Zach Keller from the Bottineau Braves football team as they make their way to Thompson on Monday night for a Region 2 game against the Thompson Tommies. And we'll close out the show as we'll hear from our senior spotlight with Ryan Kangas from Winnemac, and also the number one rated team in North Dakota in Class A volleyball. That's the Fargo North Spartans with Rachel Hummel. But first things first, let's get to our one-on-one conversation as Kevin Kochman talked with Nathan Stoa from the Hawley cross-country team.
Visiting with head coach of the cross-country program at the Hawley School. We're talking with Nathan Stoa as we reach now that mid part of September, and we're gearing up for some very meaningful races and kind of that back stretch of the season. It seems weird saying that, Coach, because we're 3 weeks in, but the fall is quick and speedy, just like you hope that your runners are on the cross-country course. And you were in a different spot, as we talked last week, instead of being at the meet in Ada, as affectionately known as the Borup Ada-West Invitational Mega Meet, I think is what they're calling it. I did see Chris Ellingson at the meet, by the way. It was a good run by the Hawley cross-country squad, taking first in both the boys and girls as a whole. Really ran a fast race on Thursday this week.
Yeah, you talked about being in different places. A little torn this year without being able to have fulfilled my complete duties and as a cross-country coach, and yet fulfilled duties as a dad. And went and watched football yesterday up in Roseau, but was able to keep checking into the live results and getting text messages, and couldn't be prouder of my kids. The joke is it just proves how irrelevant I am, but more so than anything else, it makes me, joking aside, makes me really just proud of our kids and just their competitive nature that, we told them before Moorhead State when, we talked about maybe having to leave early or whatever the case might be, that I was there, and I just said, hey, you guys don't need us to be awesome. You can be awesome completely on your own without us, because that's who you are, and that's who they have allowed themselves to be trained to be. And they took that to heart. And I wasn't there for 6 PRs at Moorhead State out of the boys race, which I missed completely. And then yesterday, both teams taking home wins. I think that's the girls. I'm not sure how the COVID one plays in there, but it's the third time that they've won that meet. And on the boys side, that's the first time in 10 years that they have won a meet. And I'm not sure if it goes back even further than that. I'd have to call on historian and my assistant coach, Dylan Olson, for that stuff, because it's been a long time. So to see the kids' hard work pay off, both as individuals and as a team, and truly finding that psychological backbone and stuff that comes from turning an individual sport into a team sport. So I was really proud of the kids. We had some big races out of kids, top 10 finishes, things like that. But also some, kids breaking through and PRing. And then our kids that aren't running varsity and won't run varsity, our, JV kids, or our girls that we've just gotten over from the dance program to stay in shape. Dropping time and PRing yesterday. So top to bottom, great day. The junior hires started us off with 7 out of 8 of them PRing, and the 8th one battling an injury and still running her best this season. So top to bottom, 7 through 12, very, very happy and proud of our kids.
It's been kind of this the growth of the season, like you say, and now at this stage, you're hoping you could see more of that and continued podium time.
Yeah, I mean, the kids, what they've done is they put themselves, we talked about it with the girls a long time ago, is they made themselves relevant, but not in the area. They made themselves relevant for the whole state. People know that Hawley has a girls cross country program now. Now the boys are doing the same thing. And, does it help? And can we always talk about resection alignments and Perham exiting and all that stuff? Yeah, sure. It changes the facet of it, but doesn't change the fact that our boys and our girls are still running fast. They're still on days when they don't have their best time wise. They're still emptying the tank for those days. And then more importantly than anything, on workout days, they're allowing themselves to be trained and they're trusting in the process. And, that's how we build. So now we've gotten through what we'll call our first half of the season. We get a week off of races purposely put into the schedule. And then we'll have, come out of that with border battle, fast and flat, and great competition. And then Perham, same thing, do it again. And then we get into championship season where we try to compete amongst the Heart of Lake schools and then see what we can do in the section meet before we worry about anything else we have to advance to.
You talk about that built-in week off. That's I'm learning more and more about you cross-country people and the people and the amount of training and what you have to do to get there. And that week off matters. Other programs, we've talked about that, other programs have implemented, and it seems to be something that has proved to be very valuable.
Yeah, it just gives us a little bit more control over what we do. Same in basketball, same in football. When we're coaching, we have control of our coaching and practice. We planned it. We have control of what's going on. We can manipulate drills and workouts to fit the kid. We can also pull them from a workout. Yep, it was supposed to be a speed workout. It was supposed to be this repeat workout, and it's just not working for you today. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So I'm right here where I'm not going to pull a kid off of a race course if it's not, if they could go backwards. I can say, hey, we're going to walk this one out. We're done for the day, or let's go hit the cardio machine upstairs, but let's stop with the foot strikes. And we just get a little bit more control over everything. And with that control comes confidence building time. I mean, it's always great to race PRs and stuff like that, but some kids don't know what that PR can possibly be until they're running that goal time broken up in an interval workout or a threshold workout or whatever's on tap for that day and that training period of that week. And that's where, they start to see that, man, you're doing your mile repeats in this with this much rest, and we're returning, we're doing this. And then we took it from Coach Pop, who was in Bowman County for the longest time, and then in Wilmer, we're going to do one more than the distance required for our race. And if you can do that one on pace, now imagine how much confidence you have to go out and race a shorter distance. So those are the things that we get to control within practices, because I tell people all the time, on race day, it is way harder and way more nerve-wracking and anxiety. I'm anxiety ridden with cross country than I am with basketball. Basketball, they gift me timeouts and substitutions. I can't change those things for the kids in cross country. So it's on them when the gun goes. We got to just make sure that they're prepared for those moments. But that doesn't mean my blood pressure's any healthier.
Sorry about that. There we go. Now I had to press mute, because just in case. But anyways, yes, I understand what you're saying. I'm following you. The border battle, real quick on that one, because that's your next meet upcoming here, and that's Grand Forks, and a good spot and really good competition, you said.
Yeah, I love it. Last year we decided that we're going to something special. We don't know if we'll go back. We don't know how the schedules will be, what it'll be like. We're going to go to this and replace the mega meets and stuff like that up there. And so we ran our kids against the AA competition. It's like, no, we're going to go to something special. Let's make sure that we see teams that we don't normally see. I think this year the plan is to run against our same level teams, see how we stack up in what we can consider to be something like a mid-season section meet, and North Dakota girls, North Dakota guys in the Class B area have tons of talent. I mean, we saw that last year team placing between AA and single A didn't change much. We'd have been in probably the same spot both ways. The boys from Bowman County are still going to come out and be elite and pull the pace. And with the girls, we think that it'll be a lot of fun to get there and compete with rugby and Central Cass and Kindred and some of these other teams that are ranked in the top 5 over there. So we'll bring ourselves there with the meaning of competing and try to be at the top and treat it like a mid-season section, but also knowing that was about as well run of a first year event as possible. And I know they've been running EDC stuff and things like that up there, but big time credit to everybody involved up there. That was about the smoothest run inaugural event I think I could have ever been a part of. There's some events that have run it for 7, 8, 9 years and don't pull it off like they pulled it off.
Got to do that again here. Had to mute the button. I don't know what it is. I'm out of practice, and it's a big time celebrity, Nathan Stoa, head coach of the Nugget cross country program.
Seeing each other. These conversations are usually us just kind of me walking around the house and you in a studio. We're not used to just looking at each other.
No, we can't. I mean, usually you're in somebody's driveway on a Saturday morning at part of your practice. I mean, that's also another spot. We can go way back to when you were in the apartment still, but we're not going to do that.
Oh, the inaugurals with Kurt, though, way back in the day when the kid sitting next to me right now was a toddler and I had to chase him around. So way back.
This one can be added as a college visit. Okay, sounds good. We've gone full circle almost, which is impressive stuff. Coach, appreciate the time. Best of luck to the cross country team as you have a little break here, but congrats on the success again and winning the Ada-Borup-West Invitational on the boys and girls side. It was a really impressive race. Kudos, and see if they can keep getting to that podium.
Yep, absolutely. We appreciate all the coverage that R&J does. This is unusual. I don't think anywhere in the state is doing what you guys do for all high school sports in the fall. So real big props to you guys and all the sponsors that need to be at the very least thanked for what they're allowing to have happen.
Head coach of cross country at Hawley, Nathan Stoa, joining us again this week.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. As we welcome in Spencer Ruebke, head coach of Ada-Borup-West Cross Country. And Spence, good to talk with you, chat with you here. We got a busy week as we're talking ahead of the meet on Tuesday at Bagley there, but let's go back and talk about things that have happened in the last week, starting with that home meet that you hosted last week.
Yeah, it's been a great last couple of weeks for us. Even if you rewind another week further back, the MSUM Twilight meet, a lot of fast times, rolling into our home meet, a lot of fast times there as well. We had all 10 runners participate at our home meet, so we're getting on the healthier side. Yeah, we're excited about Bagley because it's the section course. We have some new runners that have never been there, and we've had such phenomenal junior high times that have been ran this year with our young kids that we're gonna have some kids bump up and do a 5K in Bagley on Tuesday. So yeah, the Ada meet, I think, our Ada-Borup-West booster invitational that we had on Thursday. It was a good confidence booster, a lot of PRs, a lot of seasonal bests. So the kids are excited.
That's great to hear. You mentioned the junior high runners, and we've talked a little bit about this, but for some of those that are either new to the sport or just finally coming up to that age where they can get into the cross country program, really good to see the early success that they've seen.
Yeah. I mean, that's not always the case. And some of my guys would tell you, like, I have a couple, well, the Jacobson boys, Nolan and Kale, they're juniors, and they've always liked running and they've always been somewhat good at it. But as junior high kids, they were hit and miss. Sometimes it was like they're, an average runner, sometimes a little bit better. And now, like, fast forward to their junior year, I would consider them very good runners. So it's not always the case that you're like good right away when you're young. Sometimes it takes a few years and you got to mature and you got to put the miles on. But in some cases, I guess, like we're finding out this year, sometimes they can be successful right away. We'll see what they do in a 5K. Who knows? Maybe it'll be really bad, and that's okay. It's just another meet. It's not like it's the conference or the section meet. It's just another meet. So I really wanted to try them out and see what they could do. But there's only 4 of them, 2 junior high boys, 2 junior high girls. But I can't remember a year where we've had like all 4 of them are, ready to go and we could try them out in a 5K. And we're at about the halfway point of the season. So the stars are kind of aligning. Like it's the perfect time to try them out. They've got their feet wet. It's not the end of the year yet, so it's just like it should be good timing for that.
How do you go about that process of, hey, we're going to bump you up, see how you do in some of the longer races?
I It kind of just depends on the year. Like this year, we only have 5 varsity boys. So the fact that there's only 2 junior high, we've kind of known from the start, like eventually you guys are going to run the section meet because you can run 7 people. We only have 1 varsity girl. So eventually you 2 junior high girls, you're going to run the 5K at the section meet. So it's like we kind of work backwards from there. And the fact that they've ran so fast so soon is just a bonus that tells me they're ready. And then, in workouts, a lot of times we try to get their volume around that 2 miles because that's their race distance. And the varsity kids will do 3. So like, for example, if we're doing 1000s, the older kids will do 5, maybe 6. The younger kids are almost always doing that 3. But the last time we did that workout, just a week ago, I started having some of them do 4. So it's like we're slowly starting to get like mileage higher throughout the week and volume in our workouts a little bit higher, and just kind of inching towards still got to keep in mind they're young and they're junior high, so I'm not going to just throw them into it and do everything that the varsity does, but it's getting closer and closer to those older kids.
How have they pushed the upperclassmen? You come into a year where, as you said, you don't have the big numbers. So are they pushing the older classmen to work? So, hey, you're not guaranteed one of the top 5 spots then.
Yeah, I think they are pushing them. I don't know if it's like pushing them like your job is on the line kind of thing, so much as it's like more like just in practice. I think like Brianne Myers, she's a 7th grader. I think, she's only a 7th grader, but as she gets older, I think she's really going to be a leader in the sports that she's in. And, she's been almost, instead of like pushing Julia, I'd say like working together. Like it's like having a workout partner, which is great. So Julia, our older girl, isn't on her own little island. And I think that helps them both. And when you only have 3 girls, it's hard to feel like a sense of team. It feels like such an individual sport, which is unfortunate because our sport is both. But when you are able to get all 3 of them together, you feel a little bit more of that sense of team. And it's the same way on the boys' side. I mean, those 2 boys will compete for that 5, maybe the 4 spot. They do a lot in practice. They mix it up with those older kids. But I mean, like I said, I think it's just healthy for everyone because they're just making each other better in the practices.
Speaking of being healthy, I know we had a couple of small things here at the beginning of the season. Have everyone kind of gotten a little healthier, kind of worked past some of those early season things?
Yeah. In like one thing as a coach that I've done differently like last year and this year that I probably never would have done a few years ago is like occasionally I'll give a kid a cross training day. I'll let them just do what we're doing on the elliptical. And it feels like that's gotten us to this halfway point of the season pretty healthy compared to most years. There's a few people hurt by now. And we have had a few injuries, but like Barron is doing much better than he was 2 weeks ago. And a couple people with some shin things on the lower legs. We try to just get them off the pavement and, just do different things. But I think as a team, we're feeling pretty healthy. This is also the kind of the time of year where like the colds and stuff, like myself included, it's going around. And so it's good to like just get that out of the way and move on with the second half of the season. And hopefully we're all healthy from here.
As you look at the second half of the season and from the meet schedule to the practice schedule and everything else that goes on with, as you say, the weather changing and school continuing on, what's the schedule look like, and what's the focus for the Cougar cross country teams?
Yeah, that's like I addressed the team last week. Like our first half of the season has been so good. Like where do we go from here? I mean, that's kind of what you're asking, right? And well, we have homecoming week coming up after our Bagley meet, and that'll be fun. We'll try to have some fun in that week, and 2 races that week. Actually, we're gonna go to East Grand Forks on Monday, and the border battle meet on Saturday, and that's in Grand Forks. And then from there we go to a couple more difficult courses, maybe with Hawley and Red Lake Falls and Bemidji. Red Lake Falls will be our conference race, and we've never been there for a meet. So some different things to look forward to in the second half of the season, and then really hoping to gear up our runners to like peak and run good times at the section meet in Bagley then at the end of October. But for now, we're going to maybe keep adding on a little bit of mileage throughout the next few weeks and focus on our long runs and our workouts and our weightlifting time. I feel like it's been really beneficial, and kind of keep doing what we're doing. And the kids have been so good they've been so coachable this year. All 10 kids, I'm like so happy with them. And they're just great at like goal setting. They don't need to be like babysat, you know what I mean? Like they just like, they want to get better, and it shows. And we haven't had to get after them about like walking, and it's just been a good year. And I really think that that'll continue into the second half, and hopefully lead to some fast times that, if anything, at the section meet.
You talked about the goal setting there real quick. At this halfway point, do you kind of reevaluate those, or do you go first half, second half goals? Where are you at on the team with there?
I think we were like completely reevaluating, because at our home meet the other day, 8 of the 10 kids ran their seasonal best, and the other 2 had their season best the week before at MSUM. So if you group those 2 meets together, all 10 of our kids have been running their season best lately. And at the Ada-Borup-West Invitational, we had 6 out of our 10 run a personal record. So like they've met, so many of them have met their goals already. You have to kind of reevaluate and set them even higher. So that's where we're at right now. It's just a matter of like getting some of those kids to, what is our top end here? Let's figure that out. And if they continue to meet those PRs, we're just going to continue to readjust and get greedy, I guess, for faster and faster times.
All right. Well, hey, looking forward to you guys being greedy. That's the one time it's allowed, right?
Yeah. Run faster every time.
Spencer Ruebke, head coach, Ada-Borup-West cross country, join us. Spence, thanks for their time. Appreciate it. Good to chat with you. Best of luck here at the meet on Tuesday. We'll look forward to having those results there posted online, and then we'll catch up again down the road.
All right. Thank you, Jake.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsborough location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
West Fargo Horace won their first varsity game against Devils Lake and then followed that up with another win on the road in Wahpeton last week. Here's our one-on-one conversation with Horace football coach, that is Harvey McMahon. We go now to a team that's still in infancy for high school football, but in their second year picking up some nice momentum midway point of the season at the varsity level, that is. That's Harvey McMahon joining us here from West Fargo Horace Hawks. They pick up their first win of the season, then they followed it up with a road win down in Wahpeton. You won back-to-back games, Harvey, and you got really meaningful football games left on your schedule. You travel to Valley City this week, then you got Central, Red River, Jamestown, and Watford City, all double-A schools in that stretch. So first things first, before we get too much into the weeds, Harvey, what's year number 2 at the varsity level been like for you as a head coach in this Horace Hawks football program?
It's been super fun. We're still, like you said, in the infancy. We're still got lots of learning curves and stuff like that. But it's super fun now this year, being in games that are meaningful and competitive. This time last year we were 0-4, and I think our closest game was right around 40 points. We had kids getting hurt all over the place, and now, teams that we were losing to by 40 last year, we've kind of flipped the script a little bit, and it's been really encouraging. So, super, super fun, lots of excitement. It makes people want to work harder, which is super cool to watch. It's been super fun.
Take us through, we always hear about it no matter what from Bill Belichick, even though he might not seem he's really excited, but he says, wins are great. And he says it with such a demeanor compared to someone else who will talk about, winning is the best thing in sports. And by all means it is. But what's the maturation been like to when you beat the Firebirds to get that first win, and then to go on the road the next week and beat Wahpeton for your first road win? How sweet was that from you, your coaching staff, the guys who have been there from the split, with West Fargo, getting a third high school, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and now as seniors? What's this last couple of weeks been like for you, Harvey?
It's been a microcosm of what the last 4 years have been for me. You're going to get every emotion in the book, and it's about just building your base, laying good roots down. And, and that's the thing is, it's very exciting that we've won the last 2 games, but, our identity isn't those 2 games. Our identity is how we practice, how we conduct ourselves, those types of things. So it is a little bit kind of back to business, but certainly we've taken the time to appreciate it. It's a special moment. Both those games, Wahpeton and Devils Lake, though there's special moments, and I know they're the kids, I know the coaching staff, we're going to remember it forever. There's a lot of emotion tied into it, but again, that's part of the maturity and getting a program to be mature is. At some point, winning one game in a season can't just be the end all.
Without question. Now you have an opportunity to playoffs are very much in not the rear view, they're in your foreview mirror. They're an opportunity where you take care of business each week. You can start talking about, at least from the media, we can start talking about it a little bit more. I know as coaches, it's 1 week, 1 day at a time, but what has this been like for the school district, Harvey, whether it's been from a coaching perspective, students perspective? I'm sure you had a lot of fans asking how quickly can you be competitive once you have a varsity program, once you're out there the first year. Last year, you had a ton of travel. This year, you got a ton of home games, so that has to be nice too. But what's the one question you've been asked the most once you were announced as the head football coach of Horace, from when that was to where you're at now? What's been a question from media, fans, or just those within the program? What's been a couple of questions that you've been asked the most during your time here, Harvey?
Well, quite frankly, is when we're going to play Cheyenne or West Fargo High. That's the one everybody wants to know is, hey, when are you guys going to play those guys and all that? So, that's coming down the road, but like you said, it's been a wild ride. There's lots of questions to be asked, but I would say that one's actually probably the most. The other one is probably hey, when are you guys gonna win? All that. Yeah, the winning is nice in the sense of our student body learning how to win, because quite frankly it affects all sports, right? The student body, especially the senior class, hasn't had a ton of winning experiences, and so having that in the school, developing a little bit of school pride is awesome. Our kids are walking in the hallway different. Now I don't want them walking around like they've arrived, because they haven't. But just even to have a little bit of a tangible reward, certainly these guys have earned it.
Going through a couple players here, Mason Johnson, I know before we chatted, I just asked, what's 1 or 2 guys that have been impact players, whether they're, the quarterback, whether it's a defensive player, that's on the line or something in between. What has Mason brought to this year's team here, Harvey?
Well, identity is the big one. And so, again, I probably should have preferenced that last one. What's your identity? That's another question a lot of people ask. And that's up to the players to develop that identity. And Mason, certainly on the defensive end, has given us an identity that's nasty. I mean, he's a nasty, physical. He's going to hit you hard every play. He reminds me a lot of Jack Lambert from the Pittsburgh Steelers way back when. I know I'm young, but I know who that is, and he plays just like him, a long, lengthy kid that's mean. So he is a great player for us that really sets the tone. And quite frankly, our young linebacking core is kind of embodies that, and so our defense has.
And then on the opposite side here, a couple of running backs in the backfield, and also Carter Sink has had a really nice season for you here, Harvey. What have they done? Particularly Carter first, then kind of alluding to the 1-2 combination you have right now in the backfield.
Well, Carter is a senior that kind of embodies the whole transformation of the program, right? As a player, he came in last year at 185 pounds as a lineman, and we went 0-9. And that's a kid who said, you know what? Enough's enough. And it's fun as a coach because you see these things click in some of these players, and Carter is probably my best example of that, where what I had been preaching the last 2 years, it registered and you could see it. And he came in at 35 pounds. I mean, his body fat had to be at like 10% or lower. I mean, he looks really, really good. And that he's just kind of the big brother on the field because he's going to hit kids really hard. He runs a 4.85 40, so he's fast at that. And so he kind of just sets that physicality tone. And he made the offseason a great example for our young kids to show, hey, I worked my tail off because it means something. And now he's a very good player for us, And then for the running back, Dylan and Ty, that's just a running back by committee type thing. You got Dylan, who's a senior for us. He was our leading rusher last year, and he's just a downhill physical kid. And Ty is a sophomore with a ton of promise in his future. Ty is going to be a really special player for us.
Moving forward here, Harvey, as you take a look, again, as we allude to the schedule, playing meaningful games is number one, but ultimately win, lose, or draw, what do you want to see from your team the next, 5 games of the season? Yes, I understand you want to make the playoffs and get to maybe have a chance to host a game or get on the road and just get in the tournament, so to speak. But outside of win, lose, or draw, what do you want to see as an identity continue to be formed here over the next month of football for Horace Hawks?
Well, I mean, as far as an identity, I'm a defensive guy at heart, right? And so disciplined, physical, fast teams, that's what I want our offense and defense to be predicated on. But really, it's like I tell the guys, if we don't be intentional at practice and get better, Monday through Thursday, we might not win another game this season, and we're only taking it one at a time. And I told them, after the game, I said, we have to have a really good week of practice if we want a shot at beating Valley City. If we stay the same or have a bad week of practice, we're going to lose to them. So we have to continue our trajectory and keep elevating ourselves in practice, quite frankly, with the way the schedule is built for the rest of the season, if we want to get a couple more wins.
Final thing for you, Harvey, before we let you go. We've seen this in the Fargo Metro. Minot's going to have a new high school coming up. They're in the process of it. Obviously, with Fargo Davies, West Fargo Shan, it's crazy to think the Mustangs have been around nearly for a decade now, at all varsity programs. Same thing here for West Fargo Horace. This continuing to grow and just giving kids opportunities, but I also see on top of that, programs continuing to develop. Davies wasn't too long ago that they won a championship. It might feel longer for some people. West Fargo Cheyenne, they've been at the door. So you've seen this, so to speak, blueprint come out. Have you had a ton of conversation with a Coach Newton or with a Coach Wermeyer or those that have done this before? Or has it kind of been, hey, let's get us together. Let's figure out what we want to do from A to Z, from week to week, year to year. How have you kind of went on this journey of building a program from everyone just being freshmen to now finally having your first senior class ever in this program here, Harvey?
Yeah, and I've talked to those guys. I've talked to Jeremy and I've talked to Wayne and Jason Thiel, just the coach at Davies. And, they're so different, right? They're so alike, but they're so different. The blueprint is kind of there, but it really is, each school for their own, especially with us, like starting out in AA versus they started out in AAA, but their enrollments were twice our size. It's different. Now, the one thing that is in common that I really took to heart when I did talk to J.O. over at Davies was retention, because that first year the way that North Dakota sets these schools up, it's a tough couple of years. It is, with no senior class, and then it takes a couple of years to get your feet running. I know there was a school down in South Dakota, Sioux Falls Jefferson. They did it differently, and they saw a lot of instant success. And I don't think either one's right or wrong. I really don't think either one's right or wrong. But I know retention and one thing I appreciate the way we did it here at Horace was I really liked how impactful that senior class is. There's a lot, they might not have had the most wins, but they really did something I think they'll remember forever, which is really cool as a coach.
100%. They're laying those foundations for years to come, as you kind of alluded to. You might not see it now or next year, but hopefully 5-10 years down the road, they kind of went through that iron sharpens iron, and now all of a sudden you're 2-2 on the season and have a chance on Friday night against Valley City. Harvey, as always, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck against the Highliners this coming week and throughout the rest of this regular season.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
James Martins here on the Your Live Event Coaches Show. Please be joined by the head coach of the Bottineau Braves football team, and Zach Keller. And Zach, good to see you again. From my time up in rugby, it was great to get to know your team and getting to know the program up in Bottineau. Why don't you walk me through the season so far for the Bottineau Braves?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. Appreciate you having me on. We started out the season with kind of an interesting win, and down in Carrington, that was a fun first game that probably knocked 3 or 4 years off my lifespan, I think. But it was fun for the guys to play in a game like that right away. We ended up coming out on top on that one. Played Grafton week 2 and thought we played pretty well that week. Then of course we kind of played the juggernaut of Langdon week 3, and they're a good football team, good program, and we did a lot of good things in that game. It's just they have a lot of athletes and they're good up front, and we sustained a couple of injuries in that game, so that kind of dinged us and sent us back a little bit. And then we had a nail biter with Harvey that we just couldn't edge out. And then last week we had a non-conference game with Allendale Edgeley Column, and we started out that game really slow and just dug a hole, and we just could not get back into it.
Zach, kind of an interesting look at your team here this year. It went on nice runs in the postseason the last couple of years. And this year you've got kind of a divide, if you will, between 14 upperclassmen, seniors, juniors, and 25 freshmen, sophomores. That's got to be crazy for you.
Yeah, it's different. It's, some of our older guys, some of them played a lot. There's even some of our older guys that haven't had a lot of varsity experience until this year, just because of the depth we had the last couple of years. And some of them are just having to learn on the fly. And I think some of them have really come on and adjusted pretty well. And then, with us having to deal with a few injuries, we've had to plug in some young guys who, maybe were a little wet and green, not quite ready for those moments, but they've started to, get their feet wet and get into action. And then we're just kind of hoping that we can turn the corner here.
Absolutely. And, it's a lot more fitting to turn that corner when the program could turn a corner in a way as well, with the recent addition of that, the completion, I should say, of the new football stadium and track. And remind me, is this the second full season, or is this the first full season of that complex?
No, first full season. We played every game last year in football on the road. We did host 2 track meets last spring. So, it basically everything got finalized about November 1st last year. So we just missed our playoff game with Central Cass last year, being able to play it. So we had our first football game this year. Our first one we hosted Grafton was the first actual football game that got played at the facility. And it's, for a small town, North Dakota, we are, very fortunate for our student athletes to be able to use a facility like that.
What's the players' reaction from something like that? It's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, and they were really hoping last year they could get on it, and obviously, it didn't work out, but just being able to practice on it each day, and you just, you get that, pretty true feel, as even if it rains out, it doesn't get too sloppy out there. So it's nice to practice on.
Coach, it's got to be interesting always to see how the schedule differs from year to year, and some new additions to the region this year. Some teams like Hillsborough Central Valley going down to Region 1, and then you got teams like Cavalier coming out to Region 2. Your thoughts on the schedule this year and what's ahead for the Braves?
Yeah, obviously, was our first time playing last year, some of these teams, and then, Hillsborough going down to the Southeast region, I guess you'd call it. And then, Cavalier coming up with the success that they've had in the 9-man level, getting bumped up. And we play them here after Thompson this week. So, we had to play, Carrington's a decent football team, and playing Langdon. They're good. Harvey's usually a tradition-rich program. So we've got some of those out of the way, and, we're trying to having a non-conference game in the middle of the season is always kind of different. It's, you're week 5, you're playing a, non-conference game, and it was kind of nice in a way because we, with the injuries we had to get some guys some reps. So hopefully that we can turn that corner when we line up against Thompson Friday.
And we'll talk more about Thompson a little bit later on. You can hear our conversation on the Thompson game and the Irie Insurance pregame show coming up later on this week on yourliveevent.com. Looking forward to the game. And Zach, of course, the AD as well up in Bottineau. How's the fall season going for you guys overall?
It's been good. It's been busy. We got a lot of sports going on. We've had some success. Our volleyball team's playing pretty well. Our girls golf team has, won the region up this way, so they're off to state here in Fargo this weekend. Our cross country team has, been getting after it. They're out in DLB today running, so it's been busy, which has been fun. We've had a lot more home events this year with having, home football, and then we've been hosting junior high and JV football. We got, double kind of a combo doubleheader today with Harvey for junior high JV football. So it's been busy. It's been fun.
Zach, anything else you want to mention on Bottineau High athletics for the fall?
Everything's been going pretty good so far. Hopefully we can keep it rolling and have a nice finish to the end of our season for everybody.
Zach Keller joining us on Your Live Event Coaches Show, head coach of the Bottineau Braves football team, and as well athletic director up there in Bottineau. And we'll see the Braves coming up on Friday. You can catch the game on Your Live Event against the Thompson Tommies. Coach, thanks so much.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Hey, look, I found Bigfoot. How tall is he? What? No, not that Bigfoot. The Bigfoot Trail. The Bigfoot Trail? Yeah, it's the Trail County Parks and Walking Challenge. All you have to do is visit at least 10 of 12 parks listed on the clue sheet, answer questions about each park, and return the completed sheet to the Trail District Health Unit by September 30th. Do I get anything if I complete the challenge? Yes, you get a free t-shirt and other participation prizes. Get your sheet on the Trail District Health Unit website and get your feet moving on the Bigfoot Trail.
Bank of North Dakota wants you to be confident when it's time to make student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident to calculate the maximum amount of student loan debt that is recommended based on your career choice. You can also learn how to apply for financial aid and get tips to cut education expenses. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident today.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Dawson Peterson interviewed Ryan Kangas prior to his injury on Friday night on the football field last week, and we're awaiting the results of an MRI from earlier this week. We hope that Ryan is doing all right, but here's our conversation with Dawson Peterson and Ryan Kangas. Then we'll be joined by Rachel Hummel of the Fargo North Spartans.
On this week's edition of our Senior Spotlight program, we're joined by the senior, or one of the seniors at the Winnemac High School, and Ryan Kangas. And Ryan, thanks for taking some time to talk with us on our YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show and our Senior Spotlight portion. And 2 weeks into school over at the Winnemac School, of course, on the Minnesota side of things. How have the first 2 weeks been?
Pretty good. Getting back into the swing of things. Long summer. It's kind of weird, but it's all right.
Okay, so getting back into the swing of things, how about, the preseason stuff for the football team? You're receiver, linebacker, punter, you do it all for this Patriot group. How did the preseason go for you guys?
Pretty good. I mean, everyone showed up in preseason, had everyone get prepared for everything. Pretty good preseason work and conditioning, working out. Everything was fun.
Okay, and that's probably your favorite part, the conditioning part in the summer, right?
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Well, let's before we talk more about what's going on the field, why don't you tell some of our viewers a little bit about yourself? You know, we see your name in the box scores after football games, basketball games, interviews after the game. But how about off the field and outside of school? What are some of your hobbies and the things you like to do?
Most of my time I just golf throughout the summer. Golf and work is pretty much what I did all summer, and then a lot of hunting and fishing, spending time with friends pretty much.
Okay.
And then I do like some other sports like snowboarding in the winter, snowmobiling. I go out west and stuff, but that's about it.
That's about it. Sounds like a lot of fun. So out on the golf course, do you get out to Oak Lake over there in Erskine a lot? Is that where you head over to, or?
Oh yeah, and then back my hometown, Frazee, I golf there a lot too.
Sure. What's your best score in a round of golf?
9. I golfed a 37 at Fertile, which is 1 over par.
That's impressive because over in Fertile, that's not an easy course.
No, but everything was clicking that day. It was a good day.
Hey, there you go. You got the short game, the long game, everything was on. That's good to hear. But, so your hometown back in Frazee, you guys had moved to Winnemac, what was it? Is it 2 years ago now?
Yep.
Yeah. So what went into, I guess, that decision to move up to the Winnemac school, if I can ask you that?
Family I was staying with decided to make a family move, and then I just went with them because I was staying with them most of the time. And then heard a lot of good things about Aaron Cook up here and pretty good football program. So wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I know prior to that COVID season, Winnemac had gone to the state tournament and then was set to have a lot of success in that COVID year as well. But what are some of the main differences moving from Frazee up to Winnemac?
A lot less people, a lot less. Yeah, less numbers for sports, but then everyone up here is really nice. I mean, love everyone up here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Less people. Everyone's really nice, welcoming when we came here, very welcoming.
Okay. And so prior to this football season, or maybe it was in the beginning weeks of the football season, you had announced your commitment to Bemidji State University to play football for the Beavers. What can you tell us about that process, how things went, and just the process in general? There's things obviously behind the scenes, not a lot of people know about, but how did all that go?
Pretty good. Started off the summer just they're talking to me, and I mean, it's hard to judge playing 9-man how good someone really is. So went to their camp, and I guess they really liked what I did, offered me the day of the camp afterwards. And then I really liked their campus, everything. The school has what I want to go for. So I figured I might as well, if I like them, I might as well commit before football starts so that it's all set in stone and I can just worry about my school season.
Sure, absolutely. And you said that over at Bemidji State, they have academically what you want to go for. What area of study would that be?
Architectural design, and then like minor in project management. So design stuff and then tell people how to build it pretty much.
All right. So what got you into that, I guess? What sparked your interest? Is that something from a young age you've always wanted to do, or how about that?
I don't know. I've always liked building stuff. Like as a little kid, every birthday was Legos from everyone. And then my dad works construction and he runs a crew, whatever. And he won't let me do that. He won't let me work construction. So figured I'd just design the stuff that they do.
Okay. So maybe after you finish your school year, he'll hire you back on to design a few projects, maybe. How about that?
Yeah, maybe.
So the recruiting process overall, it sounded like it was pretty short.
Yeah. I started pretty late, actually. I should have been doing stuff last summer as a junior or going into my junior year, and I really didn't. And then middle of last winter, so it was pretty well after our season had ended, that I even started putting film together and putting myself out there. But I guess people saw good things and liked what they saw.
So you mentioned that it's a little bit harder to get recruited in some of these smaller communities, and then from obviously 9-man to the college level. What was something you had to do that some other recruits might not have had to done to get yourself noticed? What are some of those things?
Show out at camps.
Okay.
I went to the Bemidji camp, MSUM, UND, and you just got to show up there. I mean, if you don't stick out there, I mean, obviously you're going to stick out playing against smaller teams and everything. So you got to make sure you stand out at those camps against people at a higher level.
Sure. And so, going into this year as an individual on the football field, what would you say your biggest strength is?
Speed. It's probably been my strength since like 5th grade. Speed, and I can move laterally pretty well.
Sure. Yeah. And you've definitely shown that throughout the first couple of games of the year. And then getting the whole group together. How about as a team? You guys are 2-0 on the season. A couple of nice wins against Ashby, Brandon, Evansville, and then beating the Foston Greyhounds, a team that Winnemac hasn't played in a long time. But as a team, what's your guys' biggest strengths?
Speed. I think no one has the backfield that we have. I feel like we got one of the best if not the best backfield in our conference. And our line is coming along pretty well. I mean, we're smaller up front, but our guys can move. They're pretty quick. And we've been doing really good getting on blocks and staying on them enough to make big plays that we need to make.
Okay. It's always nice to talk about the positives, and it's always easy to see those positives on film, but we'll transition to maybe some weaknesses early on in the year that you guys have seen on film. And I'm sure Coach Cook has some things you guys want to work on. What would those be?
Blocking scheme. Sometimes we mess up our blocking schemes, and then there's a guy that's just left free floating, able to come and make a play. And then another negative, I mean, we have 19 guys on our roster, and we're already down 3 right now with injuries. So we got like 18 guys and then like 13 guys that can come in and play confidently, but we've been making it work, subbing a lot of people.
Okay. And that's where all the conditioning in the summertime comes in, right?
Yep.
So obviously, we're recording this prior to your guys' Friday night game against Goodridge-Grigla. But let's talk about the next couple of games with Goodridge-Grigla. What have you guys seen from the Chargers in preparation with what, their strengths and weaknesses are and things that you guys look to exploit against them to try and get to 3-0?
They come very heavy set, full backfield, no wide receivers out. I mean, they will, but they mostly come full backfield, and hopefully we're just going to put 9 guys in the box and take them head on. They're going to come to hit. We're going to hit back, and then hopefully we can kill them with speed on the offensive side.
Okay. And then the following week in, I know a non-section opponent against Fertile Beltrami over at their place. Fertile Beltrami's gone to state the last couple of years. How about them? Sort of the same question.
That'll be a tough game, but I mean, no one's expecting us to go there and do anything. I want to go there and make it a game in the 4th quarter. I mean, can't give ourselves a chance to win unless we stick it through the first 3. So I want to have a chance to win in the 4th, turn some heads.
Okay. Well, would you call that a statement game? Maybe. I don't want you to look too far ahead. I know it's still the following week, but would you label it that as such, or?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, they're ranked 2nd, maybe 1st now after beating West, and they're ranked high. They're supposed to go to state again this year, but I want to show that we are too.
Is that something in the locker room for you guys that drives you? I know you guys had what was the 2nd round playoff exit last year to Kitson County Central, and the Bearcats good again this year. But is that something that drives your guys' locker room here for the football season?
Oh yeah, we've talked about it a lot. I mean, this morning we had morning practice and talked about it in our huddle when we break down. I think this Friday's game against GGG can be section championship game in the Dome, and I want to show that the outcome of what it will be there tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah, and that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have the one against the Chargers on the radio, as well as next week against Fertile Beltrami. But I want to go back to the recruiting process a little bit. We see you a lot on the basketball floor. Heck of an athlete, jump out of the gym. You've got the speed, all of the tools. Was there any recruiting process with basketball? And if so, what was the decision or the thing that made you choose football over basketball?
Some schools talk, like Concordia, they emailed me, sent me some mail, whatever, but never sparked any interest towards any college that I wanted to play basketball. I mean, I played AAU, but I made it very clear to coaches that I was going for football. It's just always been a dream of mine to play the highest level of football that I can.
Okay, so it's been football all the way, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that sounds good, Ryan. We certainly appreciate the time and get you out of class a little bit today as well. We appreciate the time, and good luck the rest of the football season and into the basketball year.
Yeah, thank you.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Well, joining us now from the Fargo North Spartans, that is Rachel Hummel, head coach for Fargo North, as they've had a really great start to the season so far here, Rachel. And as you get ready for the month of September, another East-West crossover is a couple weeks away. That's always kind of a midway point on the season for high school volleyball. But to this point, how's everything gone from your point of view? I know a lot of wins. You've broken some records along the way as well in terms of achieving milestones. How's everything gone for you here, Rachel?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we've had a strong, solid start to our season, which is how we hope to start. It helps build some confidence, getting some wins early on, kind of take some of that pressure off. I think we've seen some great consistency and leadership from our returning varsity players. I know you kind of spoke on it. Evie has reached her 1,000th career dig, which is an outstanding achievement, and just sort of speaks towards her as a player too, and a leader on our team. We're looking forward to facing a tough week here coming up with who we have, and just still going forward one day at a time.
You mentioned Evie Berg here. It's always nice to talk about, those setters who can get up to 30, 40, 50 assists. Sometimes if you go 5 sets or you go a little bit extra, obviously you can get 10, 15, 20 kills with an outside middle hitter as well. But the back row, they keep a lot of balls up. They keep a lot of volleys going, and sometimes they steal points for your respective clubs. So what has Evie done in your program to allow her to reach that milestone? And you have so much comfort with her in that back row there, Rachel.
Yeah, I think even with that word comfort, like a lot of trust with her. She is very smart volleyball wise, has a great volleyball IQ and this ability to read the game from her perspective. So definitely trusting her and giving some more responsibilities as far as communicating different strategies or techniques with the team while she's out there, rather than waiting to check in with us as coaches. So I've seen that leadership kind of shine through her in the past few weeks here. And she's definitely comfortable stepping into that role. In practice, day in and day out, she works hard. She, is very receptive to feedback and is a good example for our younger players coming up.
And someone who is also with her as an all-EDC was Betsy Schiltz, an all-EDC caliber player. She made the all-state team and a Class A all-state representative first team as well. Having that experience back on top of what we talked about with Evie and some of your other players here, Rachel, what's kind of her maturation, so to speak, within the program from where she's been to where she's at now?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say what these kids bring. It's so much. It's just that positivity. And I think having that mentality that she's going to give her best to get every second ball and rely on her teammates if she needs the help to get there. I think having that, her and Evie have such a great connection on and off the court, but especially on the court, that it helps kind of run our offense when they're in sync together. So having that setter libero connection is something that's a strength for our team.
And on top of it, too, a team that made the state tournament last year got to experience what that was like. It was just over a decade since Fargo North was there. So that monkey's off your back here, Rachel. When you come back, the expectations and a very balanced, again, there's 7-8 teams in the EDC once you get to that tournament that feel like they have a chance to get to the Fargo Dome this year and represent the conference. But from your point of view, Rachel, how big was that to kind of just get that, as we said, monkey off your back, get to state, and then bring those group core players back to say, hey, you've been there, you've done that, you know what it takes for a regular season, you know what it takes for an EDC tournament. Now you got that taste of state. How big was that in the off season before you even started the year here, Rachel?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it leaves us hungry for wanting more, wanting to do more to get there and do better. So not just being complacent with the fact that we made it, but recognizing that that's a huge first step. So yeah, I think we just have a lot to prove to ourselves, and we want to keep that going.
3-class system. I don't know how much you've been asked by other coaches, fans, or volleyball in general in the state of North Dakota. Just your general topics, because I know moving forward from your point of view, the teams that you're going to play really isn't going to change too much. You're still going to go up against the Red Rivers. You're still going to go up against the Shamleys of the world here, Rachel, the Packers. But just for high school volleyball in the state of North Dakota, do you think this is going to allow you to play more of the Central Cassis Thompsons, maybe see some other teams? How do you view it as, your perspective from a coach?
Yeah, I guess I haven't talked too much about it, but I think from my point, eventually I hope it kind of levels the playing field, and that within each of those classes, there's some competitive, intense matchups that year by year kids that can look after to compete against others, rather than things be completely lopsided one side or the other. So hoping it leads to more competition and opportunities for kids throughout the years.
How has the EDC continued to grow? Because it seems like every year I look at a roster and there's someone going college in some type of sport. If it's not volleyball, it's basketball. If it's not volleyball, it's track. There's athletes going to Valley City State, NDSU, UND. It just seems like the level of competition across the board isn't. We just have to stop player A. It's now there's A, B, C, D, and E, so to speak here, Rachel. How has the EDC continued to evolve during your time from where you were in high school to where you are now as a head coach?
Yeah, I think it's strange to think back in high school and compare, but definitely just more opportunities for kids. I think if somebody wants to play at the next level, there's an opportunity almost always, to no matter what level you look at. So lots of opportunities for kids and lots of chances for them to get noticed by those schools too. So I think it's great if kids want to, that they have an option.
Final thing for you, Rachel, before I let you go on our coaches show here, just the balance of the EDC, kind of alluded to it in previous years, and even this year, we've seen teams get knocked off. We've seen teams go 4 or 5 sets that have to, scrounge to win a match. Is the EDC, to your point of view, feel just as deep as it has been in recent years, where you put everybody in a blender, you're not sure what's going to come out, so to speak, after a couple of days of volleyball?
Yeah, I think it's even more so this year. It seems just like it's up for grabs for anybody, which is awesome. I think depends on the night and who's playing better. And sometimes that doesn't even matter. Sometimes it's just other things that are working for certain teams. So I'm looking forward to just seeing how it kind of plays out each night. It's a surprise to get on the website and see what the scores were and who went to 5. And no, they went 31-33 or something crazy. So I think it's great. It's awesome volleyball that's happening in the EDC right now.
Rachel, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck throughout the rest of this season here for Fargo North Volleyball.
Thank you.
That does it for this week's version of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Make sure you join us every Wednesday night starting at 7 for another edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.